Well, good morning, afternoon, evening, anytime in between, wherever you're happening to tune into Coffee Talk this week. It's great to be with you, and I got a new mask. I am very excited about this new mask.
It's very festive.
It's festive. I love it. It is 100% custom made, unique. I was about to say ethically sourced, but I might be making promises I can't boast. It is about 20% upcycled post-consumer content material. Like it's the stuff.
I'm sure it was ethically made, like ethically assembled.
The one who made it certainly was under no pressure or obligation to do so. Was not paid to do so, though. I suppose that's where things could. She just so Sheena made me this mask. We don't have to. I need to give her credit. She came to me a few days ago and was like, "So you'd like a?" She didn't even watch last week's Coffee Talk. She confessed this the other day.
Really?
She's like, I'm trying to remember how it started. I can't remember if I said, it'd be really fun to have a Christmassy kind of ugly sweater of a mask. And she went, okay. And then a few days later, she's like, how about this? I'm like, oh, that fabric looks great. And then she made it up, and
it matches your sweater.
Well, that was unintentional. She even got up early this morning to finish it so that I could wear it for Coffee Talk today. So I'm very, very happy to do so. It's not my intention to wear a mask all morning because I want to drink coffee, and I know some of you want to see my mouth move, so I'll do that. But I wanted to share it with you because I thought it was great, and that.
Speaking of festive,
Yes.
It just dawned on me, the day that we're recording this is 1 month to
I know,
Christmas
right?
Day.
Oh, I have told 5 people that already, and 4 of them I live with. I'm like, 1 month to Christmas, because I started as I was saying to Kevin a moment ago, I've started my Advent calendar because Sheena and I, we make each other Advent calendars as something fun each year, and she is just in her generosity. Bought me way too much stuff to all fit neatly in 24 days, so I've started already. So I'm very excited about that. It is wonderful that we get close to Christmas.
Mm-hmm. I would also like to point out we went for another different. I'm going to say different because I have not been there in 9 months to a year, and so we're having blends today, which is I think we can call it a local favorite, even though it's not entirely local, but it is local.
Blends is a BC company, is it not?
Oh, no, it was Canadian, but
it is definitely Canadian. I have to do the research because I haven't looked it up. I think they might be entirely a BC coffee company, but that's very good.
I enjoy it.
It's great.
It's a dark roast.
It is. Now, Kevin already told me it's Colombian, so we're not doing the guess, which is good because I was guessing North African. I would have been like.
Well, it was that or Guatemala, which is a medium to light.
Hey, great choice.
I stand by my decision.
It's a great decition.
Now, where does it rate? Because we have our scale here.
I know.
Right? So this is like the Top Gear, wall of.
We do need a.
I think what we're doing. Know what we're doing next week.
I think so. I think we got to kind of stack these up. Or like the Rhett and Link, kind of even just a little scale. We should have kept a cup from each one. And anyways, I feel like it's not fair to the other coffees in terms of how much better this is, in some ways. And I don't know. So the real trick is, because this is where the psychosomatic kind of stuff comes in. It's like, if I was blind taste testing this, and I didn't know that it was from blends, or I didn't know that it was, right? Because I do think there's a little bit of a stigma about gas station coffee just because, it's from the gas station. Much of that's probably well-deserved. But, to have every now and then, I'm sure you find a gas station that just decides to knock it out of the park with great coffee, and that's fine. So to sit down and go, no, I've got McDonald's coffee, I've got blends coffee, right? Some people, it's going to be, you're going to assume you feel a certain way about it. Like for some people who are really hard against Starbucks, I'd be curious to know what they would do in a blind taste test.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's what I've been being told at home, is that we actually have to be doing a blind taste test of all of these so that we can know what we're actually talking about.
Yeah.
And on top of that, we should be
smelling. You've got to take it in with all your senses. You're slurping. Mine I'll say is, it's not super hot anymore, but it's
So I would put this on the scale here. I would put it on par or above Sonic, but in a different category than even McDonald's, because it's just like, this feels richer than McDonald's,
Totally.
but it's a different flavor. I would say still Tim Hortons is at the back of the bus, and
right. Yes. Oh, 100%. Yeah. No,
but the A&W kind of was in that zone. I think this is better than A&W.
Oh, for sure. It's better than A&W. It's better than Sonic Wash. It's better than It's more expensive than. Well, you see, and that's what I was kind of getting at twofold is part of me knows this is better quality because I know it costs like $1 more than anywhere else. So my brain just goes, that's better coffee. It's better coffee, right? Because I know that it's supporting a local company. Yeah. So that right away, my brain starts to fire certain things and goes, no, that just makes it better.
Yeah.
So it's a little unfair to.
So we're messing with your taste buds and your brain all at the same time.
But I'm enjoying every little moment of it, so
Good.
Mess away.
Good.
And yet again, now the question is, the most important question is, how much better is this than Tim Hortons? And we don't have a scale large enough, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So reason Tim Hortons is not going to sponsor us.
Yeah.
That's okay. Anyways, it's great, and it's it's just good coffee, and then you support good people, and all around it's just better.
Yeah.
Like it's better on so many levels that I'm just gonna have to take another sip here.
Yeah.
I was very disappointed though, and I don't know how it happened. Maybe I should have said it sooner. But on last week's Coffee Talk, when I mentioned that my favorite cup of coffee in town was the Guatemalan at Bliss, and then what happens, like the very next day, did you see that? They've announced that location is, the West Bank, or the West Kelowna location is closing down.
Really?
And I was like...
We have to go to Peachland now.
I should have pumped it harder. Well, they've got two in Kelowna themselves, right? And there's the main, like, bakery outlet, like, just across the highway from us.
Yeah.
And so... but I don't know if I can go in there and get a Guatemalan.
Maybe you can get a pound of Guatemalan. Or I thought you said Mexican.
No, it's their Guatemalan that I quite like. But maybe.
All right.
Anyways, what I'd love to know is, does Blends roast their own coffee?
That would be interesting.
Because that's the other thing too. I mean, and then, oh man, then we want to start getting into subcategories. What about all the local roasters in town who roast their own?
Oh yeah, no, I think at some point that needs to be on the list because we're trying to get a good variety and like highlight all these random spotlights that need to be shone into the different parts of the community.
Right.
Because everybody says, you want to go for coffee? Oh, Tim's. Yeah, okay.
Right.
That's the only place that we often know for coffee or Starbucks. And then it kind of goes from there, and then there's another level, and then there's all these roasters and locals and just connoisseurs that probably could get us some really good coffee.
Probably could. Like, so for example, I mentioned my advent calendar. Yesterday's offering was a half pound of the Christmas blend from Summerland. I want to say, is it Backyard Coffee Roasting? Something like that? Shoot.
Wait,
the Backyard Beans. That's the name of the beans.
You're starting your advent calendar already?
Well, I have to because it started like 3 days ago. I didn't open today's. I'm on day 3 because again, Sheena
How does it start now?
Because she.
Wait, did you explain this at the beginning and I wasn't listening?
That's okay. You know what? It's like, it feels a little bit like James Corden's segment where he interviews. I don't watch his thing every time, but I saw it the other day where he interviewed staff and he asked them a question about something that happened in the show already, and they all got it wrong.
I do enjoy that.
I get it, James. Anyways, I'm sure he watches.
He's a fan.
Totally. Anyways, Fatty BC Fairies apparently. Let's not go there. Yes, I opened it early because it was ready early. Because Sheena, in her wild generosity, just like gets excited to like buy me stuff, and bought way more than 24 days could contain. So I get like an extra 10 days. And I am not complaining.
I think it's also because she's a 2.
Sure.
I think that's just natural, and I think
For
that's good.
the 4 or 5 Enneagram people out there are going to be like, oh, we know what that means.
I think it's growing. I realize that's still talking in code to a lot of people, but I think it's growing. So we'll keep encouraging it. Anyways.
Absolutely. Christmas.
Even before that.
Okay.
The last time you saw us together.
Yes.
Was a week ago right? And
when we made that video,
things changed. We made that video,
retract.
and we were going to do a whole bunch of other things in that video, and then we decided we know that there's a health order coming out on Thursday afternoon, and so we waited. Then I put out a quick video, and that still needed some clarification on that as well too. But anyways, you're seeing us kind of in that zone, and so in case you have not heard or you're living in a place that doesn't have reception, we have canceled and paused all of our in-person gatherings and services and life groups in person. Right, yes. That means all of that has now moved virtual. Right, so we're going back to where we were virtually as in March. YouTube streaming is still happening, so we're still having a service, we're still having a gathering, it's just virtual, and same with life groups and stuff like that, that's still all happening. So I wanted to say that because what we're getting into now, it kind of paves the way for a lot of that, because as Chris and I were talking in the last little bit about Christmas plans and stuff like that, we wanted to just remember that, like, Christmas is a really important time of the year, which is a cliche, but also an understatement as well too. So the reminder that, you know, there's stuff that we want to do as a church to plan and organize and coordinate, but we also don't want to plan stuff that's going to get shut down, and we don't want to plan stuff that is going to go against anything that our government is saying or anything that is being encouraged by our church leadership as well too. So we want to work alongside those things and even be working ahead of those things. And so I think we actually have a pretty good list.
I think we're biased.
We are.
We'll admit that.
But that's okay.
Because we created the list.
We're going to bring you guys along. And so what it means is everything is going to look different. Right. It's going to be similar but different. And so this is kind of where we were going. Now,
And we should say too, there's a couple things on the list that we recognize they're kind of what's the word? A little bit contingent, right? Like we say this is a great idea, we like it, we think it'd be fun to do, we think it'd be beneficial, but we understand that a couple of them won't happen if we can't meet socially. Yeah. And so some of it you're just gonna have to keep listening, stay tuned about. But this is kind of the vision. This is our goal. This is what we want to aim for. But we're heading there cautiously optimistically. Yeah. And some of that, you know, it'll make sense when we get into the nitty-gritty details. But
so as I started alluding to on Sunday, and then I messed it up. That is on me. That when we went to the picture, it took out all my audio. So the way that I explained it, nobody heard it. That's okay. Because
the 2 of us in the room heard it. It was good. It was good. It was real good. Well said.
So we have chosen 4 tracks that we are going to emphasize this year. And that is connect, reflect, celebrate, and serve. Yeah. Those are the 4 things that kind of went up on the screen on Sunday. But we are going to encourage people that this is a multifaceted Christmas that needs to be encouraging people and changing people's lives through this Christmas COVID season, because we believe that proclaiming the message, proclaiming the gospel is paramount all throughout the year, and this is a special time, and there's a lot of stuff that's going to need some attention. So the first thing that we talked about was we need to connect people together. Yeah. And so we can't do that on a Sunday morning. We can't do it with 500 people in here. It's not going to happen. But is there ways that we can still be doing that? Is there ways that we can be putting people together or giving opportunity or encouraging you to be connecting in a lot of ways? Yeah. And so, Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. And here's the thing. It's not like you're going to choose a track Don't go, well, we'll just connect. Well, what you're going to see too is there's a lot of overlap. Like one of the things, it's going to kind of not, they don't necessarily fit so neatly into any one of the four. But like, some things just are a little more obvious. Like connect. Hey, if we're allowed to meet socially, we think it'd be great sometime in the Christmas season, if there's snow, if we can meet socially, just to kind of meet next door on the hill. So that's the kind of thing that you're just going to have to stay tuned for. And if it works out, great. We'll put it in the Facebook and stuff like that, and we'll invite some people to join, or we'll have a location where we can get together for a bonfire or something like that. But we do want to, let me back up a little bit. When we did the big church-wide meeting and like half of you were on Zoom, the feedback we got was, that was really fun, we should do that again. So then we got thinking, okay, let's organize that. So we thought, well, and here's where we kind of jump over on to reflect a little bit, which almost I think we need to jump in on there. Yeah. We want to do like a daily Advent devotional together as a church, but which would be a great way to reflect in this season. But that doesn't help us really connect unless we add in that whole big Zoom meeting element. And so what we would love to do is on Sunday evenings, get together on Zoom and just talk about, hey, what's something that's come up for you in your devotional time this week? Or how is, the readings from the last week kind of been hitting you or your family? And so then it kind of connects us together, helps us reflect together. Yeah. And
it brings us around that central thing.
Yeah.
Because I think it'd be really cool to just have a big giant Zoom meeting and everybody hang out and chat, right?
Sure.
It could be a bit chaotic too, but we also want to realize that like we need to connect into each other's lives, but it's really cool to see each other. And on top of that, if we centralize all that around the gospel and around the readings and the devotionals that we all, so the church-wide, everybody gets to do the same reading, same time throughout the week, and then we'll reflect on it together. Mm-hmm. So essentially it's very much like a large small group that just, and we can do breakout rooms and other stuff like that as well too. Totally. So there's a lot of stuff that can happen with that, and that's just one.
And just on that, we don't want to clog up your email with a whole bunch of stuff you're not going to use. And so we also want to make sure we have everybody's email. We occasionally get the feedback that, I don't get the bulletin, and it's just like, somehow we've missed a few people.
Or my wife gets the bulletin, and I don't. So I think it would be great. We would love, as much as I would love to just email the whole church, I recognize that might miss a few people. Yeah. So email us and say, hey, make sure I'm on the list for that Advent devotional, and then we will email it out here. Actually, in the next few days, because we're running up on Sunday is the first day of Advent. Yeah. It'll be going out. What is 29th? It'll be, I think we'll send it out like Sunday night, Monday, somewhere in there, so that everybody's gonna get it. And so if you don't get it and you want it, email us in and we'll send it out to you and you can get caught up real quick. Mm-hmm. And that'll be coming out. And this is it?
This is what it'll look like. So I'm holding my page upside down because I didn't print, that's on me. That's not this. Don't judge the devotional on the fact that I printed it wrong. It's just like a little half page, right? And there's some scripture reading, and then some things to think about. The whole theme is hope. Yeah. Right? And the goal is that we can enter into that Old Testament mindset that is hoping for a Messiah. Yeah. That is just longing for it. And that sense of longing is certainly one that's kind of stirred up in me every Advent, but maybe it's not one that people I think today are longing for so many things, right? Longing for a vaccine, longing for life to get back to normal. We don't long for Jesus the same way. Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of what we want to help you as a church kind of orient ourselves around is we are people who know longing. We know what it's like to desire, but sometimes that gets askew. Yeah. And we want to orient people back to hoping, waiting, anticipating, and longing for Jesus. Yeah. And so that's our goal in all of this, is to connect together around making sure that we're seeking the right thing. Yeah. And
so that's just another one of those things. The way that we're also going to be reflecting, and it's a little bit more of a specific group, but there's a women's Christmas is still happening.
Yeah.
but it's virtual. And so the original plan was to actually gather some people together and do some singing here in the sanctuary. That's changed. That's not on. That is now going to move to a virtual meeting. And so it's still happening. There's going to be a devotional and a reflection on that, but it's going to be virtual. So you'll hear more about that in the coming days too, because that's actually coming, I think, in like a week and a half. So there'll be more coming from Susan and Randy on that. The other track that
we missed a connect, you know, because
or does that go under serve?
Oh, I don't. Oh, sorry.
It can be both.
It's another one. We'll come back to it. Keep going. Keep going. Because that's fine. Yep.
So this is sort of connect, but also reflect. Our deacons every year have done what's called Blue Christmas, and we try and keep a list that has people who have lost somebody throughout this year, and really. When it comes to Christmas, sometimes that can be a really big hole in somebody's heart and in their life. And those who are watching today and you've lost somebody, we're even thinking of you. And you're in my mind right now. And we're thinking about you. And we want to be encouraging you, because with that void sometimes comes some loneliness or other things that can kind of come up. And so what our deacons want to do is be able to just remind you that you are cared for, that you are appreciated and loved, and that even though you are dealing with this kind of loss this year at Christmas time, in the same way, a bit of a redirect and say, let's reflect on the goodness of God today, not just on His goodness, but on the fact that He is there with you in your sorrow and in your hurting, and even more so because you're going through some of this, maybe even more alone because of our current state of gathering and stuff like that too. So you might be feeling a whole lot of that, but that's one thing that's also going to be happening. So the deacons already have a list on that, and they've been moving forward with that. We're pretty sure we've got everybody. If you can think of somebody from our church that has lost someone throughout this year, somebody close to them, you can contact, I'm going to say Colleen Long.
That's a good person.
And contact them just to make sure that we have their name. And that's, So that's kind of reflect as well too. Yeah.
That's great. Well, let's move on to celebrate, because it's fun to celebrate. And of course, there will be live streamed Christmas Eve services. We'll have that all online. We're waiting to find out whether or not we will be able to have people here. All we know is that the orders are in place till December 7th, and then we see. So that's another thing that, hey, ideally we would love to have people here. Please know that we're not overjoyed by this, but at the same time we understand. So we'll let you know what happens with that.
So for sure it will be live streamed.
Yes.
Beyond that, if there's more additions to that will come. But either way, we can bank on the fact that we are going to celebrate Christmas Eve like we've done in the past, and what we believe is really, really great to be able to celebrate. So that next day with your family, you can be just reveling in God's goodness, not just through presents, but through the fact that it's a very awesome and holy kind of day. Totally. And so that's.
But before that.
Yeah.
So that's December 24th. Christmas Eve isn't changing when it is. But on December 18th, one of my favorite parts of the season, I mentioned this several times, I love Christmas lights. I really do. And we thought, why not we're trying to figure out how to be together, how to connect and celebrate, but yet do it in a safe distance way. And because often in the past we've had people in that we do a play, we'd have dinner together or whatever, right? We all that's shut down. But what if we could somehow together, but as separate, just spend an evening driving around and enjoying Christmas lights together? And so December 18th, more details will follow, but we'll meet at the church in the parking lot And just as a starting point, you know, you're not going to get out of your car. But if you've got like a radio that we can sync up, like one of those FRS radios that we can sync up and all be on the same channel together, we'll do like a kind of like a bingo card sort of thing. So as you drive around, like, you know, you might have ones like spot a baby Yoda, and there'll be like some ballots, because someone down the street from me put one up.
Yeah.
You know, there might be some ballots like, what was your favorite display? You know, how many minions did you see? Something like that. The one that actually looked like it communicated the truest sense of what Christmas is all about. Whatever it is. Which one was the most like over the top? Things like that you can kind of vote on just as fun, and we'll just kind of share some thoughts together in a distant.
Our family has done the same thing every year, and we call it the Christmas train.
Yeah.
And so what's really cool is that we will lay out kind of a route that our whole train is going to go on at your own pace and in your own vehicle. Yeah. You know, not connecting with other vehicles, but really just kind of hanging out together, separate, all those things. And so we're really excited about that.
I think it'll be fun.
Yeah.
And so I was going to say, part of that is, if you know of a neighborhood or a particular house that you think needs to be on our list of must-sees, I invite you to, you know, send us that through Facebook or email us in or whatever, because I'll put a map together and a route, and we can, again, if you want to like hit slow down and just enjoy a particular block more than others, that's fine for you to do that. If you want to keep the pace with those of us who are moving, you can do that too. You don't need to linger too much. You can go back another day. But anyways, we're looking forward to your suggestions of houses that you've seen. I think more people are doing lights this year. I think it seems to be a bigger thing. It'll be kind of fun, and we'll have funsy, and it'll be good. Yeah.
So then we move on to serve, which we feel like is a really awesome and important time at Christmas. And so there's a lot of different ways that I know everybody is serving, right? As a staff, we sometimes will kind of pool some money in and send it overseas, or we will do something like that, or you're serving through your time towards, you know, this organization, or, you know, something like that. We want to give you a couple of options, maybe in addition to that, or if you want to kind of, but then there's one that we're actually really excited about. So one thing that our deacons also do every year is Christmas hampers. Right. Now we're still working through what that's going to look like. But if you know of somebody that's just really in need, maybe has lost their job this year, maybe is just very having lots of issues this year, and just needing some help. The amount of blessing that that can really change somebody's outlook, and I think in a lot of ways lead them closer to Christ, is worth it all. And so we're going to be doing those Christmas hampers. So if you know of somebody, you can connect with Colleen Long again on that. As we said before, Salvation Army is still looking for volunteers because everything is different, and on top of that, there is less people in the malls and shopping centers and stuff like that too, and so but there's still opportunities there to serve, because a lot of that does go towards a similar thing of taking care of people at Christmas as well, and into the new year, and so we want to encourage that one. 250-258 ring.
There you
Still
go.
Stuck in my head.
That's good. I forget it constantly.
Rob, every time. So
it's good stuff.
That's a couple of those. Now, this one we're really excited about, because this falls under connect and it falls under serve.
Sure.
And what we really feel like is that connection point in between people is really necessary. And so what we've kind of come up with is what we're calling Adopt a Household. Yeah. And it's kind of like a who's coming to dinner, but you can't do dinner together at this point. Right. And so what we really want to be doing is connecting two families, connecting two households. If you're a single and a family of 6 or like whatever, connecting two households together to just be committing to praying for one another, to serving each other, to send an email, to do something. Right. Go through the list, right? Yeah,
and we want to be clear about this. We're not expecting that you will, take a dinner over. No. We're not expecting that you necessarily drop anything off at the house. Though, if you're comfortable dropping like a tin of cookies on a doorstep, that's fine. That's up to you and them to kind of sort of make sure they're comfortable receiving it and you're But you know what? Any of us can send it.
COVID friendly. Like
right.
making sure
Absolutely.
COVID friendly.
That's what we're saying is, and thank you for saying that, because I know some people would be comfortable having someone come into their home, but no, like we're not encouraging you to violate any provincial orders. But anyone can drop a quick note and say, or leave a voicemail, or call up on the phone and say, hey, praying for you this week, thinking about you, whatever. And do that. And then if it, or imagine that. The post office works too still, I think.
No, they only deliver packages. Nothing else.
That's right.
Nothing else.
Just the stuff with the big smile on the box. So connect in a way, we're kind of assuming that you're all in on that. And if you're really not going to be around or uncomfortable, let us know and we won't. But kind of in the next, we haven't said when this is going to start yet, but in real quick, you're going to be getting just a quick little email that says, hey, here's your adopted family. And then we'd encourage you just to reach out in some way over the Christmas season and say, hey, praying for you, love you, have a great Christmas kind of thing.
Yeah.
And just encourage one another.
Yeah.
And whatever that encouragement looks like, we're going to love it if you would use some creativity.
Yeah.
And some of you are bakers, and if you want me to sample your product and make sure it's safe to send along, I'd be happy to do that. But whatever your sort of the way God kind of has wired you to like love encouraging people, then I encourage you to use that. And most of you already are. Like we're not sitting here going, oh, if only we assume and we know that most of you you have a circle of people that you're connecting with, you have a circle of people that you're encouraging. But we want to kind of stretch those circles a little bit. And so don't be surprised when you are given a name that is someone you don't know.
Yes.
And because there's quite a few people in our church who just aren't well connected.
Yeah.
And we'd love to kind of just broaden some circles a little bit.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and this is only going to help things as far as reminding us that we are called to love one another. Mm-hmm. And there's probably a lot of people who just need an encouragement. And even those that might say that, I'm good, everything's fine, I don't need an encouragement. Those people also need to be reminded that that you need to serve them as well too. Even if they don't feel like they need to be served, it's important that they are served, so that they are reminded that we're in this together. Yep. And so nobody's alone in all of this. We don't want anybody to be listening in today and say, I feel so disconnected and so lonely. Yeah, it's going to be so different, but we want to create more of those connection points safely.
Yes.
And so that's what a lot of this is about is just connecting people together in a really good way all throughout this Christmas, so that we can be reminded of what we're really about is loving one another. And yeah.
So this Christmas, we want to be about connecting, reflecting, celebrating, and serving, and lots of different ways to get in on all four of those and mingle them around. And it's going to be a delicious fruit punch, is what it is. It kind of makes me think a little bit. We have this kids book where they go through the jungle and every animal in the jungle kind of contributes a different fruit, and then they mix it all together and they have this beautiful fruit juice. And that's kind of what this is about, right? If Christmas would be somewhat shallow if you had just any one of those, but we want to throw all four together, and it's going to be a beautiful season of Advent. And so we're looking forward to sharing that with you as a church. And if you got more questions, email, phone. If you write a letter, we'll probably get it by Christmas Eve. So maybe don't that one, but call us, email us, whatever, connect. And I'd love to answer those questions. And more than anything, we want to just hear, and that's the other side of it is too, we do want some feedback from you, not like bragging, oh, this is how I serve, but like this is what what happened in us when we served, this is what happened in us when we connected, this is how we were encouraged, this is what came out of my reflection, this is what we'd love to hear more of that side of it too, as we get into Christmas Day and the new year.
Photos on the Facebook page are a really great thing because it reminds us we're in this together, and so you know, when you're able to go sledding or do something, you know, post those kinds of pictures and just share them with each other, because it's a really good way to just remind each other.
Yep.
And so thanks for hanging out with us this week, and we'll see you on Sunday.
See you soon.